Hello Muni.
Hi Devasito.
Thank you to give me the chance to interview you. We are at the end of a weekend retreat in the evening now. You see yourself as a spiritual teacher?
Yes, I do. Yes, of course. This is what I am, that's why I can do it.
And what do you understand by spiritual?
The idea is with spiritual that it is something different from worldly life, but spiritual and spirituality is that which is not located somewhere where world is not, but it's everywhere. And spirituality, in that sense, is maybe the wrong expression for what we are really doing. A better word for it is beingness. More beingness than something spiritual which is the spirit only. Everything that we deal with in Satsang is about being, is about getting to the state of being and acknowledging the state of being and not being somewhere spiritual, somewhere else than just here. That's what spirituality is for me. That's why I also explained the name spirituality in a different way, because just today I thought about that this may be the wrong expression for what we are really doing here.
Can there be a state without being?
No. Cannot. Because when there's no being, you are not there anymore. So then also there won't be any state of being. That's true, but there's nobody who knows that there's no state of being when you're dead.
So there's always being, but it's not, maybe the people don't know at the time, at the moment, because the awareness is somewhere else.
Yes, that's true. That's what spirituality, we could say, is all about, to acknowledge that there is being all the time. As you said, when you are not present or busy with something else or somewhere else, you cannot see that there is being, or even that you are being, because that's what you are, being, just being. Nothing more. But people think they are more than that, and that's what they are busy with something else, which they are not. And that distracts from the quality of being.
What is the quality of being?
An easiness, just being, not being something special, not being something, but just being. Something which you cannot really explain what it is, because it explains itself through being.
Some people call it pure being, and it seems to be a happiness or something very beautiful and nice and sweet.
Being is always pure. If it's not pure, then it's not being. But as you said, it's mostly covered with something else, or the attention is somewhere else, so it's not recognized that there is being. And because being in itself is just knowing that you are, nothing more. Knowing that you are.
Is it the same like meditation?
Depends. Usually meditation is something you're aiming at. You want to get somewhere with meditation. Then that's not the same, because being is without any intention. But that would be the best meditation, to be without any intention. And that would be being. Yeah.
And is it a hindrance to want to feel pure being?
At the beginning, it's necessary to try to be being, or to do everything to recognize that you are being. But later on, it's a hindrance, because you're not a feeling. And if you try to depend on feelings, you're getting lost in that. So at the beginning, you have to aim at trying to be being, which you cannot, because you are being. But that's what people do. They try to be or become that which they already are.
That creates a mess?
That creates a mess, yes. But at the beginning, maybe it's necessary, because not to be trapped in the personal preferences, and turn your back to them, and try to even become, or try to be the self, or try to reach towards the self. This is a beginner's phase. But later on, when you know, or you have experienced something that is different from the personality, like being, then you won't do that anymore. Then you won't aim at something because you think it will happen at a later date. But you will confirm what truth is, or what you really are, more even through meditation or being all the time.
Feeling the being without having the attention somewhere else, is this a state of non-identification?
Yes, except that of the identification with being. That is what happens in the moment when there is no distraction through other aspects or events. That being in being means the attention is where being is.
Is it possible to do something for that?
It's possible to stop doing something if it's possible, if it's so wanted, or it will happen. Then yes. It appears as if you can do something about it, because being is your natural state, and that's something you really cannot do anything about it. The only thing you could do, if doing is possible at all, then by not having the attention where being not is, meaning somewhere else. If the attention is not somewhere else, it is automatically resting in being. Automatically resting in being.
Is it our true nature to rest in being?
Yes, that's our true nature, that our focus is there, grounded there, and doesn't move from there. Then being is, presence is, happiness is, love is, consciousness is, whatever you may think about in terms of quality.
Do you see yourself in a row of masters, like with Papaji or Ramana?
It happens to be so, yeah. my sense of understanding. You never become a master, but that's what you are, and it will show if you attract people, and then you're a teacher in your view, and in the view of other people, maybe you're a master. But I think it doesn't matter so much. It matters what you can teach or what you can be. And being itself is a teaching, so it doesn't need a mastership in that sense that you can say, well, I am a master. I am what I am, and I do what I am, and this is great. Maybe this is being a master, maybe.
You see yourself more than as a friend of the people who are coming to you, or than a guru, and being a guru?
Difficult to say, because it intermingles also. I mean, I feel close to everybody that's coming to satsang. I cannot say I'm automatically a friend, because for a friendship it's more than just having sympathy or being together often. It means sharing also outside of satsang, and which does not happen too often. But with some people I'm closer, that's what happens. And then there's a kind of friendship, yes. But mostly I'm a teacher. Yeah.
Do you see you and the people who are coming to you as a sangha, and what does it mean?
That's a difficult thing to answer, because I never intended to create or have a sangha. But it happened. It so happened that some people came here and live close by, and something like that is coming out of it. Something like a sangha, being closer and meeting from time to time. Also sit together in silence, and sometimes listen to music too, which doesn't happen too often, which some are regretting. That it doesn't happen too often, but it will happen again, I promise. Yeah, in a way it happens, but not as I don't feel like I live in a sangha. It doesn't feel like I live in a sangha, because that's not what the role I want to be in. But there is still a closeness to the people that are living here. Yes, that's true. Sangha means I'm available all the time, and I don't want to be available all the time. I'm already available a lot to many people in meetings and email writings and so on. So I also prefer to be on my own in between. And in a sangha you have to be present all the time.
You see change or development with the people who are coming to you regularly? Or
no, not at all.
No.
Yes, I do, of course. Of course, yes.
In what direction?
Being more conscious about what they are dealing with in themselves all the time, and being more present, being directed towards what their truth is or their nature is. Yes, that. And also having to look in between, that everything works well between them, that too. Which sometimes does not, which belongs to it. That when people are close to a teacher, they are there because they have to work through their own history and their aspects that prevent being or pure being. So yeah, it's a challenge for everybody, also for them here, I guess.
What is the difference by playing the role of a therapist than of a master?
A master is represented by being that what he's teaching, and a therapist seldom is or does represent that. mostly aspects which are not really integrated, that therapists also still deal with it, while a master doesn't or a teacher doesn't anymore, in that sense.
You offer the question, who I am, to the people. What is it about?
It is about having really direct knowledge about oneself, the self that one is, and it aims directly at opening up to the quality and appreciating it also by doing that, and then seeing the result of not being any more confused in their own personality aspects. That's what it does. It permeates the whole system when you ask this question. When you ask, who am I, then automatically what you are is showing up. Maybe you don't see it, because parts of the system are still busy with dealing with the personality aspects, but whenever there is the wish of knowing you, it happens. So
it means to ask the question, who am I, without waiting for an answer or without having a mental concept or something, just to ask the question?
Yes, just to ask the question, but knowing that what you are asking about, that you want to really know what you are or who you are. And the more you have ideas about the question, the more you are expecting something coming out of it, and that's what's coming out of it will never meet your expectations. Never. Never. Never any mental answer will come out of it. Never, ever. So you don't know what to expect, and this is a good form of asking questions, not to expect something. But because if you really ask a question, you say, I don't know, I want to know. But if you think you know while you're asking the question, then you will never get an answer that is beyond your understanding. And that's what the question is aiming at, beyond your understanding, your personal understanding, your concepts, your ideas.
What is there beyond our personal understanding? What is there to meet, or is there something to meet?
There's maybe you mean this meeting when you're face to face with your own self. This is the special meeting, which also doesn't happen because you're never face to yourself, but always identical with what you are. So what is waiting for you is that you recognize yourself as not being different from yourself or your personality or whatever, but you are it already. And that's what it's all about, recognizing or confirming the truth of being that which you always are and never are not.
What are the reasons that most of the people are unhappy with their lives?
Because they don't know who they are or what they are. Because they think they are somebody, and or they are the body, and everything that happens in their body or to their body, because one time it happened that the identification with the form happened because of certain reactions of the system, and then the idea appeared, I am somebody, I am that in which this happens, what is happening now. And from there came the idea, I am somebody, I am a person, I am a body, and everything that's happening in the body. But in truth, you are never a body. That's why the question, who am I, always aims at a quality that is not physical, but thinking you are physical and you are somebody in that form that determines what happens is not the truth. So when you are living something which you are not, then you are not happy. So when you are not happy, you know you don't know who you are. You're living something which you are not. And that has to be corrected, and that's what Satsang does. Or this so-called spirituality does.
We are not our bodies, but our body is something like a temple that's good to care for in the best way we can. Is this right?
Yes, it's a good opportunity, a good possibility to have a body, not to be the body, but to have it as a possibility to express consciousness and happiness and all the qualities that people admire. Yes, and that's good to care for the body, to have a healthy body, but not to use the body as something that has to be perfected. In that sense, so you are busy perfecting the body and not aiming at recognizing yourself.
Is that the finish of everything? The end of everything?
It's not the end of the world, but it's knowing who you are means you don't search for happiness in areas where you won't find it. This is the end of that, and then you can just be, and doesn't mean that it's the end of understanding. For example, when you give satsang, it means that your understanding will also deepen. It's not only the people that come to attend to satsang, but it's also the teacher who really deepens more and more in his understanding and in form of presence, which happens automatically. It happens automatically also that teachings differ or change to another way, which it did in the past months to see through certain patterns of the personality and find a way of making the people understand what it means to identify with certain aspects, even if it's suffering, that people like to suffer because they want something through suffering.
Is heaven always here now?
No, heaven is nowhere. It's only an idea, in contrast to hell. But beingness, or what you are, is nowhere not. There's no place where you are not, or that which you are is not. And that may be a kind of heaven in the ideas of a personality, thinking this will be heaven. But actually there's no heaven.
I once heard you saying that there is no here.
No here. Yes, because this is also only an idea of being there and thinking that here will make a better there. So there is not really a here, because it won't make you more here than you are already. There is no place where you are not all the time. But there is the idea of being present or not present, and that's why people say, I am here, or you are here now. But being totally present means you are not just here, but you are the whole existence, not separate from it.
Do you use the word soul, and if yes, what you mean by it?
I don't use the word soul. I don't know if anybody has heard me saying this without being asked about it, like you do now. No, for me there is no soul in that sense, but the quality of Atman, or the presence we are, is permeating the whole body. It's filling the body, and it's inside and outside, or there's no inside and outside, there's only that, but inside is also that which we are, or what we are, and this is influencing us in that we, when personality is not has not so much attention anymore, that the focus may be, or is easier there where we are. So, yeah, So there is no soul in that sense that there is an aspect in us which determines what we are doing and knows better than we do. There's no aspect except us that knows anything better than we do. And this is what people think, that they are not developed or that they are missing something, and there is something in them which gives them the important information they need about how to deal with their life and everything else. But I don't see that, I don't find it when I look for it. I didn't find it when I looked for it. So I just found consciousness, which is determining in a way by being a certain structure and being attention that moves with the structure or deals with the structure, but there is no other being inside than just that.
Is Advaita a philosophy?
Philosophy?
Philosophy, yes.
Some people think that it is a philosophy only and the theory is enough to know about, but in truth or in fact it is being. It is the truth of the reflection of how truth is living through yourself and saying what it is. This is what Advaita is, the absolute truth about what you really are. And if you have realized who you are, then you can express that as Advaita only. That's what I see. That's what happened in my case, that I truly saw what I teach now. And this is truly in its sense or in its essence Advaita.
Is non-duality a modern word for Advaita?
Yes, because non-duality says there are not two, and Advaita says there are not two. So another word for that, yes. It may be hoping that people will understand it easier, what is meant by that, because Advaita is a Sanskrit word and quite abstract for many people.
I understood that you say that fear and the feeling of being inferior,
not being worth,
like other people, creates the most tension or pain for the people.
Yes, the consequence of thinking you are somebody is that you think you may die one day because you appeared as somebody, and we know that everything that appeared has to go someday. So you think, when you think you are somebody, that you will go someday, and this creates fear. And because you are missing the effect of knowing yourself, you feel not worth, or you have a low self-esteem, because you're getting a reflection of that, of the low self-esteem and the fear later on in your life, when you have this, have made this conclusion, I am somebody. This goes with it automatically. You don't have to create it, but it happens automatically. And this is a structure that has to be overcome one day, and this can only be really overcome if you recognize yourself as being that what you are, so that you're seeing the worth you are, or the value you are, and the love that you are, in contrast to the two, fear and worthlessness.
Can you give a general advice how to live in wisdom?
Yes, seeing what is and not thinking that you know what is. just seeing what is, which is an aspect of being. So not getting involved into the structures of personality, but just being there and watching what's happening. Just being there. Yes.
What do you understand by grace?
Yeah, grace is something which is already given, and it will never come, because the whole life is grace. Even the moments when you think you are unhappy is grace, because it will show you something you can learn about and see how your structure, your functioning is, and so you can evolve from that. And even the qualities, they are all inside of you. Everything is inside of you. Nothing is coming from outside, which means that what we call grace is only an aspect of yourself which will show at a certain time, and you think, oh well, the universe has something for me, and I don't know where it came from and how it happens. Okay, but this doesn't come from me, but in truth everything is in us, as well as all kinds of expressions are in us, as well as the truth itself and grace itself. It will never come. It's always there. So in fact there is no grace. Grace means that somebody will see how beautiful we are, or that we need something and give it to us. That doesn't happen.
So there is no use in waiting for grace.
No, there is no use in waiting for grace, and no use to wait. That's what is waiting is our truth, for us to be ready to open up to the fact that the truth always is, and not some time or somewhere.
Would you like to tell something about your story, your personal story? Which masters has been important for you?
Yeah, well, I stumbled upon a master which was Samapan at a time when I didn't think about enlightenment, just trying to see through personal tendencies and clearing the body, and being happy about finding aspects which I didn't have to deal with anymore after I have seen through. And then I saw Samapan, and the second evening when I was there, I suddenly had the idea, or said, well, one day I will also be enlightened, I will be enlightened. And then he said, you can have it now. And then it happened that I saw through the being, and where I have been somewhere else, where I haven't been before. And this was awakening. It was not realization, it was not the final thing, but it was awakening, and I had the opportunity to see how beautiful it is, or will be, and the importance of knowing where to direct the attention to. That's what I learned these moments. I knew what was important, to have this in my mind all the time, and to direct the attention towards it all the time. And he sent me to Papaji. He said, I have been in Lucknow, where Papaji gave satsang, and I see that he won't live so much longer anymore. And if you want to go there, because I recommend it, go there. And I went there, and it was a very, very intense time where my whole body was being worked through, and so I couldn't function for months after that. And I also got my name from him, so he is in my heart as much as Samapan is, and all the teachers I had been with. And after that, I still saw there are some things I had to work through, and then I met Michael Barnett, and I've been for quite a few years, and dealing with the relationship between people and learning much about energy fields and movements in energy fields and the significance of energy. Yeah, and then I came to Gaya, where I one day appeared because I thought my girlfriend Ishtadeva had told me I should go there, and well, I had some, let's say, some arguments against it, but I still went, and I sat there in front and with him, not thinking about anything in particular, and it happened that I really was settled down in being. And from that I could draw the conclusion that it's good not to know too much about enlightenment, or think too much about it, or have being focused on that, because you are too much in your ideas, and the attention is somewhere else, and not just there, not just present.
What can you say about feeling the feelings?
It is good not to avoid feeling the feelings, because they are a sign inside the body for the consciousness to know what's happening in the body. And it's also a big help to be present. If you don't know how to be present, or if you are always with your attention somewhere else and not present, then it's good to feel the feelings and stay then with the form and inside the form, and focus there for a while until you know that you won't avoid the feelings. So it's good not to avoid feelings, but to use them in a good way.
And in a good way means not to identify with them?
Yes, it means not to avoid them, not to want to have certain feelings, which means identifying. So not to identify with anything, not with feelings too.
What does it mean to go through a feeling totally?
It means to try to find the quality which is beyond that certain feeling that hasn't been felt. Meaning to resolve it. To feel something means to resolve what is felt.
You have to be open just to feel, and without having an idea that it could end the feeling.
Yeah, well, when we talk about what we have to do or not to do, what happens, happens, not what we think, what should happen, or what can happen or will happen.
But thinking, I would like that feeling should be finished, should be come to an end, can this be a hindrance?
Of course. Because, of course, I mean, you don't really determine if a feeling stays or if it comes or if it goes. You are just a spectator of this happening. So having the idea that things should happen or not are not the truth, or don't happen the way you think they should. So we could say if that happens, that one wants a feeling longer, then it will stay, or doesn't want a feeling anymore. It's still the universe that does it, or consciousness as the universe does it, and not you. But in terms of going deeper, or feeling that's there, And having the idea it shouldn't be there or it should be there longer is a hindrance. Yes.
Some people tell that they come in a flow, maybe when they do a strong exercise with the body or sports or something. Is this the same like being in just beingness?
Yes. It is beingness that expresses itself in a way that seeing happens, that things happen through the form that does something, but you don't do it. It's very clear knowledge in that moment that everything that happens just happens, and that you are not doing it, and that if you would try to do it that way, the way it happens, because it happens in a way of perfection, it would never happen that way. That's my experience from sports, from different kind of sports.
And some people, they have their best moments when they are just in the flow.
You can only have your best moments when you're really in the flow, and there are no ideas about what should happen or in which way it should happen. Yes.
So when you give satsang, you are in the flow?
Yes. Yes.
How does your satsang looks like? You are in silence, people ask questions, how does it work?
I just want to say something about the flow, because also outside of satsang I'm in the flow.
Okay.
I don't have to go to satsang to be in the flow. Yeah, what happens in satsang, it's true, I start with a long period of silence, which at the beginning hasn't been as long. It has been only 10 to 15 minutes, but later on it just happened that I saw that it's beneficial for everybody to experience the quality that is beyond thinking, beyond doing, beyond the personality, which silence creates. It does that the aspects of the personality are diminished or not as strong anymore as before. So that the quality of silence will appear and will show the people that beyond their personality is the quality that really will give them peace and relaxation, and stopping the necessity to fulfill personal wishes, going for that all the time and not being present. So that's what that does, and it does it. Also, if people think that it doesn't, even if thoughts appear, because they have to appear if there are still a lot of thoughts present or energy present for a lot of thoughts. But the presence is there anyway, and it has an effect on everybody, even if people think that I don't understand anything and why am I here and it's so boring here, it is silence, something should happen. Something happens. And then, yes, there's a part where I talk about silence, or talk about the truth, or talk about the ideas personalities have in general, and what is the hindrance in terms of realizing their nature, if they fulfill the desires of the personality and so on. So talking about the truth is a part of satsang, or even doing meditations that stretch the limits of personality, aim to qualities of themselves which are beyond grasping or thinking. And well, then there is the possibility of asking questions, or saying what's happening, talking about what's happening. Yes.
Is truth the opposite of untruth?
No, truth doesn't have any opposite. Truth stands for itself. But when you start to differentiate between what is reality and non-reality, then we could say there's reality on one side and non-reality on the other side. So this appearance of a world which we call world is just an appearance, and it doesn't have this value, or is not the truth. And then it's good to be a certain while busy with separating, or saying, okay, whatever I see, is an object, it's not the truth. But it's also not an untruth, because it has a certain truth, because we can talk about it, it's there. So it's never really in contrast to what truth is, because truth is always where the kind of untruth is also. So for a certain period of time it's useful, and then when the state of non-identification begins, then there is no need to make this differentiation between these two.
Okay, you also offer retreats?
Yes.
There are different satsangs at one day? Or?
Yeah, several satsangs a day, yes. Up to 3 satsangs a day. When there's a whole day, when the retreat begins, there's only one, and at the end also one, but in between always 3 satsangs a day. And this, of course, has another intensity than just 1 satsang or 2 a day. It brings people more into the quality that they don't have at home when they are involved in work and family and personal structures. And in a retreat, you're really retreating from your functionality, and maybe you can really land where you see that this will turn your life upside down in a good way, that you know now what all is about, and that you won't be engaged anymore in personal structures anymore.
And you are offering a session with people, with one person?
Single sessions, yes.
Single sessions, person to person, but also via Skype or telephone? Yes,
also via Skype or telephone, yeah.
And this you could do also in English, yes? Yes.
If people can speak English, only I can answer in English, yeah.
There's directly a connection to the other human being, or it just comes to you, the answer? How does it work?
The answer, all the answers that are coming, where do they come from, do you mean? What do you mean?
Yes, they're just coming out of the blue, or...
I don't know if it's blue, but whatever is needed is coming, yes, it just happens. I don't have to think about it, and I even cannot think about it. I'm really not a thinker, but I cannot, but I'm, let's say, there's so much fullness, so that it expresses itself, and there is no aspect that would try to prevent what is coming through this aspect here. So it just happens easily. Also, sometimes it also seems that if it has to think, but it has to wait so that another information will come. It doesn't try to find another aspect that it can express, but it's just waiting for something to appear.
You also will travel to India, to
Tiruvannamalai,
and yes. Also offering a retreat there.
Yes, yes.
What can you? Is it a special place? Is there something better than and at other places?
Depends on what the person wants. If the person wants to go over its own limits or open up to what it is really, then it's a very good place, because this offers a great mountain that is the representation of Shiva, and a very silent, very strong quality, which opens up to being, to silence. And this I don't know if you find it somewhere else in the world. I'm not sure. And there's also this ashram from Ramana at the foot of the hill, where this special teacher who has really propelled the question, who am I, through the world, and attracted many people even after his death in his samadhi. And the energy there is still there and is still growing, and in a way not different from the mountain, because Ramana said that the mountain is his teacher, but also it has more fragrance of love and beauty than the mountain has. The mountain itself is very quiet. I could say it has no attributes. So this is a very special place for people who are able to leave the personality aspects behind and don't cling too much anymore to what they think they are, but instead cling for a while to what they are, or just be there, and it is happening. Just being there happens. Makes it easier to just be. That's why we go there.
You go with your people then to the ashram, or you have a place of your own to give satsang, or?
We have a place on our own, on the top of a hotel, a room where we can see the mountain from there, and an acclimatized atmosphere, which is good in a country like India. So we can keep out mosquitoes and monkeys, yeah, too. Yeah. So we will visit the ashram, that's for sure, because it's possible to visit it and at certain times. And maybe one day we will go there also as a group and have a meal.
Okay, there's some other aspect of life you like to talk about?
Yes, we can talk about many aspects of life. The most loved or appreciated aspect is the truth, and to acknowledge it, to know that this is the most important thing, to do that, and not aspire for it only and thinking it will happen sometime, but acknowledging it now, and learning more and more how important it is to have the attention there. And to live a life which is quiet, not too busy, and which will give the chance to grow into that more and more. Yes, and have an eye on the reasons why one cannot have the attention always focused on what you really think you want to focus, if it's the truth, that you see through that and find out what your tendencies are, and learn from being present, and just knowing that trying to understand is not the way that you will really understand, but just being there and seeing without any intention will deliver everything you need. So the simplicity of the truth itself, and seeing it reflected in the simplicity of us is a very important aspect. not define yourself through thinking or the idea of being in control of life or of yourself, because you never are. There is in many people the idea that they can control life and they can avoid feelings, they can avoid fear, or the idea of not being worth it. There's the idea of deciding what will happen in their lives, but this never happens. You never decide that. You're never the one that has a free will and determines what the universe will have to express. There is no free will. This is very important. But people who don't believe it shouldn't try to live by that and saying, well, if I don't have a free will, I will then now stop doing this or that, which is not well understood what free or not free will really is. But living the truth of what they think they are right now, believe in what they are right now, and if they think they can decide something, they should live up to that and try to decide and do what they have decided, and then maybe see if this is the truth. When things they think they have decided and want will not happen. So to really live from the aspect of trying to find out what life is and what is happening through this form of being a man or being a woman, and not thinking that you know. It's a good thing to always be a beginner in that sense, to be fresh and have no ideas, except the wish to be free and or know that secret, which is no secret, because inside of us everybody knows who or what he is, but not necessarily believes in it. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
You have any questions?
What is your strength? In satsang, being with people?
The strength. You want me to talk about my strength?
Yes. The clarity and everything like this? That's what you have?
Yeah, seeing through the programs of people and never giving up. Going for the truth and never giving up with nobody. Because there's still a strong fascination towards truth. This will never end. It's still growing. Yeah. You want me to say something about the personal structures and the patterns? Or?
That's his strength.
Yeah, well, I found out recently, which maybe other people also have found out, I don't know. I haven't heard about it in that way before, but that really people that seem to be grown up are not really grown up. They are still little babies. Yeah, maybe they are really tall and old, but the functioning of them is still baby-like, and which means a baby is not conscious of itself in the way you are conscious of yourself later on, and so you are really in circumstances of your family or people that surround you after you're born, that you feel you are in a need for their closeness or being hugged or being taken care of, and you don't feel you are. And the strategy that babies have unconsciously to make their parents function the way they want them to function meaning crying for help, or being in total fear, or being sick all the time. This tendency that the people or the babies have, that corresponds with their patterns too, and which they try to evolve or to change in a way that everybody will take notice of them, because they're in a need, in a strong need, or in a situation where they really need help. So everybody has its way to try to get in contact with people that you feel they are not in contact with you. They don't see you, or they don't help you, they are not with you. But you have this tendency that you need it or want it, and then the structure that's coming out of it being in fear and increasing also the fear through situations where you are totally lost, totally helpless, and not able to take care of yourself anymore, for example, or being totally worthless, or trying to be very perfect in whatever you are doing to get the attention of other people. But most of you get the attention in a way that doesn't nourish you truly. So it means that personalities try to achieve that people are there for them, but when they are there for them, they don't nourish them. So there's the system that is created through them is a frustration in itself, and it creates only frustration, and it never delivers something that one really needs inside. So like love does, and the solution for this is to see this structure and to overcome it by seeing that there are no results coming out of the structure, and that it can, if you don't stop with it, it can go endlessly, and that to that belongs the opening into love, because the only way you can resolve this problem of lacking something and trying to get it from somebody else is seeing that it's inside of you, that you don't need anybody else, but it's inside of you. Yeah, that's one of the ways of finding out the most important structure of a so-called person, so that when this is understood, there is really room for opening into what one is. If it is not understood, it will have an effect in the area of unconsciousness, and people are confused because they think they want something, but their system expresses the opposite. And knowing and seeing this in people, this is a quality that has evolved or developed in the past months, this says. So we can see that even teaching Advaita, there are also other aspects in every teacher that also change. And that also on this level learning happens. Yes.
Where do those structures come from?
They come from situations in their families very early, when they are really in need of something and nobody is there, for example, being with them or for them. That's where they come from. But the main reason for this structure is that it is already inside the system. It's a pattern that one is growing up with. You don't get it from somewhere. You will never be in a situation like that if you don't have that pattern. So it's not your parents that give you this way of expression or are the reason for this kind of behavior, but it's inside of you, and it's being expressed through other people who are in resonance with yourself.
When somebody is in wants to go to Satsang and says, I want to have fun. Is it possible to have fun in satsang?
Yes, it is possible to have fun. But some people think I want fun, but inside of them is no fun when they go to satsang. So maybe they're in resonance with that then, and there is no fun for them. Because the opposite may happen. If your system expresses in the time of satsang that there are some of the patterns coming up, and which are not nice patterns, then you may have a hard time. But this is what we would call grace coming from inside. That these aspects show up so they can be dealt with and understood with and are not longer resting in unconscious areas.
So they come up in satsang and then you have fun when they're gone. When
they're gone, there's a possibility to have more fun. But I mean, satsang is quite a serious business. Because it deals with the fear of the personality that it has when it thinks it is somebody. And satsang says you are not somebody, and if you want to be happy, you have to give up the idea that you are somebody. So you have to give up all your patterns that will attract your attention and don't serve you to recognize yourself. So there may be fear to die, because this is what a person thinks when it is identified with its structure. That when the structures go, there's a fear of being dead pretty soon or right now. May happen, not necessarily. There may be phases of long experience of happiness. So everything can happen in satsang. Did we advertise satsang well enough, or?
Maybe it's also.
It's the truth.
It's very important to say there's possible to have fun, and the biggest fun is the silence afterwards. Because at the beginning you think fun is outside always, but then you discover that the real fun is deeper inside.
That's true. Then we don't call it fun; we call it peace.
Yeah. But you have to say it in another word, so that other people, they get attracted first, because peace is too boring.
This is something in me. I know that people who have inside them this tendency of really longing for truth, they will be there where they have to be there, where they have to be, where they are supposed to be. So the resonance in them attracts them to areas where they can experience joy or whatever. Yeah.
Do you recommend other methods accompanying satsang, like yoga and physical exercises to help the system clearly?
Yes, I recommend that, because I did it myself. I got help from many people, had many healing sessions, many sessions of Tibetan pulsing and different other kinds of Cranio, Sacral and whatever. This helps to clear the system and helps to be clearer about what is happening in your system, because whenever you resolve something also on the body level, there is a chance that you'll see clearer what is still working inside of you and not helping you to focus on yourself or being with yourself. Yes, of course, this helps. Yes. Not being identified with the body too strong, but taking care of it very well. And if you have the tendency to really see through everything, then it's good to do body work and yoga and whatever, Tibetan pulsing and the 5 Tibetans and so on. Yes, helps. Because when I met Samapan and had this experience there of awakening, I had done, I think, about 200 sessions Tibetan Palsing before in a quick row in Frankfurt, not in Pune, Frankfurt. And I was so softened or opened by that I always thought, okay, well, because we think that way, because, and then we teach, okay, if you do that, then it will happen. That's why I don't teach it that way, but because I know it doesn't happen for everybody that way. But I thought, well, okay, because I had done so much before and resolved so much before and seen through so much before that, after that I was open for that. But you can also say, because it was determined that it would happen that day, that I had to do many things in advance to be ready to meet this, to have this appointment. Yeah, that's more my understanding.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. No, it's not important anymore. Yeah, so I mean, it's good to be attracted to satsang. That's true. And if there is a longing, then it's a very good thing to go to satsang and to fulfill it. Where else can it be fulfilled? Because all longings that go to somewhere else or are directed somewhere else will never fulfill your being, will never make you happy, because they are passing experiences, and what we are is not a passing experience. It is what is, and never not.
When people want to come in contact with you, they can write you emails as well?
Yes, on my website. There is also my email address, and one can write to me, yes, or make an appointment. Yes, and find the places where satsang is happening. Yes.
Okay. Dear Muni, thank you very much for this late night interview.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and thank you very much too for the opportunity to speak in English and have an interview with you.
I tried.
You tried. Very well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Shanti. Nobody knows who did the interview, because everybody there, I mean, how much is the influence from them? So, nobody, who did it? Yeah.
It happened.
Good not to find anybody who did it.